I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. It ultimately does not matter whether the president does, doesn't, has, or hasn't fired the special counsel who is investigating him. Obviously, this is a simplified overview. The grinding wheels of justice and truth would be better served with Robert Mueller on the job rather than with his being just the latest body on the pile of men Trump has fired as they gathered damning facts about him. But in a larger sense, firing Mueller might actually speed Trump's demise, because whatever breathing room Trump might gain from cashiering Mueller and declaring the investigation over and himself vindicated, it would be more than counterbalanced by the degree to which the headline, "Trump fires another investigator," would move the story of his alleged corruption, obstruction, and madness into the center of the American view. It is hard for you and I to really grasp this. We have fought this man and fought what he meant and saw clearly what he would do for more than 1 year, for some of us, exactly 2 years. But we are not average Americans, and I'm not talking about our political viewpoints. I'm talking about our political viewership, if you will. I have never seen a study of just how much time the average American spends thinking about politics each day, but I would suspect it is a lot shorter than the shortest of these commentaries. For better or for worse, to the average American, even to the average American voter, this just isn't necessarily a priority in their lives. A president fires the U.S. attorney in New York investigating his associate's business dealings. How many million Americans didn't know this happened? The president then fires the FBI director investigating his campaign. How many million Americans don't know that happened? Well, far fewer. A president then tweets he's being investigated for firing the FBI director, then fires the special counsel doing that investigating. How many million Americans won't know this has happened? Far fewer still. There is a tipping point in everything in American culture, from reality TV popularity to political scandal. It is almost always a lot of people who did not know about something suddenly finding out about that something. You can't really establish a single tipping point in the Watergate scandal, but the Saturday Night Massacre is probably the closest thing. On a Friday, Richard Nixon said he would refuse a court order to surrender his White House tapes, and he ordered the special prosecutor to drop the Watergate case. On Saturday afternoon, in a news conference carried live on television, that prosecutor said he would continue the investigation anyway and would continue to challenge the president in court. Later that same day, the president ordered the attorney general to fire the special prosecutor for defying him. The attorney general refused and resigned. The deputy attorney general refused and either resigned or was fired. It still isn't 100% clear which. Saturday night, the third-ranking figure in the Justice Department, the Solicitor General, finally fired that prosecutor. And all hell then broke loose. On the Friday before the Saturday Night Massacre, there had been 10 different stories on the front page of the New York Times. From the Yom Kippur War to a shootout in Midtown Manhattan to Game 5 of the 1973 World Series, nothing about Watergate. By the Sunday after the Saturday Night Massacre, there was an 8-column, 3-line headline about Watergate and 4 separate front-page stories, including one just about impeachment. By the Monday after the Saturday Night Massacre, White House and congressional and Senate offices were flooded with telegrams. The Watergate scandal, front of mind for millions of Americans, but in its 16th month, still an irrelevant shape on the horizon to most of us, suddenly became the only topic in politics, and just as quickly, politics became the only topic in America. Would Trump fires Mueller unfold precisely that way? It's impossible to tell. The world of media is utterly changed since 1973. We have 1,000 more distractions now than we did when Richard Nixon had fired Archibald Cox. We have another president who will lie about anything, but unlike Nixon, the one we have now can do so instantaneously via social media, and his true believers will happily reject the insights of Rosenstein and Mueller to instead swear by the insights of Diamond and Silk. But to fire Mueller is to tempt a repetition of the Saturday Night Massacre and the spread of public awareness of the investigation. That might not destroy Trump, but it cannot possibly help him. And just as importantly, it is to risk a repetition of the aftermath of the massacre, the part very few people noticed or talked about then or now. Within 12 days after Nixon fired the special prosecutor, the pressure and the outcry had grown so loud that Nixon had to hire another special prosecutor, the one who would ultimately help force him from office. Resist. Peace.